bans that worked for them in Game 1. FPX are the ones changing it up, though. Game 1, FPX banned Thresh, Alistar, and Hecarim. This time around, bringing out the Tahm Kench and the Rel. So it seems like they're trying to bait Jiejie into that Hecarim pick.
A Hecarim pick, there you go. Picked up as expected. Remember, things like Tristana still open. The Rel not, though, as FPX made a triple pad at the end. Let's see what direction FPX go in for the second pick.
I expect him to lock in the Tristana and the Udyr. I guess this is a worthwhile trade for them. They could have just given over the Udyr if they ban out the Hecarim and then have to default to the Volibear themselves. But at least in the first two games, it seems like these junglers that have the faster clear really were outpacing the Volibear both times around.
Waiting for that pacing to be a bigger discussion with hovering over these jungle picks. Tian has been someone who has a lot of flexibility in his pool. This is something we keep talking about, Lyric, that keeps getting hovered over, but yeah, okay.
Hysterics.
The bear, bro.
They keep baiting it.
Yeah.
I mean, I wanted to believe it would happen this time, but it just wouldn't make sense for them to go with the gambit of leaving open Hecarim if they didn't plan on going for this one-for-one trade. I still value Hecarim higher. It's the more worthwhile first pick. He does more in team fights and really fulfills the same role early on in the game. Sure. So I think very expected first rotation of picks coming out. For EDG, they're hovering the Kaisa now. I do expect them to lock that one in. The question is, where do we go with supports? The Alistar is still open, and I think Alistar has been Meiko's best champion by far this split. The man has looked insane on it. We saw what he did against top esports. It was just... It was nutty hysterics.
One of the best Alistars in the league, right? When you think back historically, Meiko and Ming come straight to your minds in that regard. So I'd be excited to see it come up. Remember that this is still a flex if it gets locked in. We have seen Flandre on it 2 games in a row now. And is it going to be a third is the next question for our fans at home.
The thing is, it's kind of viewed as doing well into the Alistar in the support role, so it's all right for EDG to pick up with the fact that you're highlighted. It is a flex. I don't really want to see Flandre on it this time around. Not necessarily saying that Flandre is a bad Gragas by any means, but it's like, man, we saw what Flandre could do with his Jayce against top esports in that first game. Give my man Flandre some tools to do well, because most of the time, EDG are leaving him on an island. They're not playing on the top side. They will early on in some games, like they did in Game 1 against TS, but then still it's back to being all aboard the Viper train. I think a lot of our longtime Flandre fans would like to see him do well, especially now with Nuguri just blinding the Gnar.
Yeah, it's going to be a simple matchup in the top lane. I love that you talk about play patterns here and how Flandre is in the team of EDG. I think another reason why they are so successful is relying on the big power of Viper and Scout. Something, again, we can continue to talk about. But moving forward in this draft, we are still without mid laners here for both these teams. We don't have a support for both of them as well. While support bans have been coming pretty thick and fast in the first phase, the second time round, however, we're looking at solo laners, the Nocturne, the Rise. Alistar actually follows suit, so Meiko going to be on a bit of an island, and so is Crisp. But this ban phase has been the most different thing about the draft, in my opinion. Maybe the more exciting as well.
And I wonder where FPX will go with it with the Alistar ban, because they can wait till last pick and just wait to see what they do with that Gragas. I do expect the Gragas to be flexed towards that support role. Again, we've seen Flandre on it 2 games in a row. Didn't work out last game. I do think it will find time into almost anything that FPX can pick in the bot side. But for FPX, there is the Twisted Fate open if they wanted to go towards that. I think EDG wanted to bait that out, but they also still have the Sylas open on their side, so FPX maybe not wanting to go towards that one.
What's a counter pick? What are they going to do? This would bring back some old memories if we saw this. And also remember, a potential flex. I know it's a hover, ladies and gentlemen, but with FPX, there's a certain champions you have to think about, and that could be coming up a little bit later. The Rakan for now, part of the engage, the follow-up engage that you also mentioned, and will be there alongside Nuguri Gnar.
And very different for FPX. They typically don't leave last pick for Doinb. We think about all the champions he plays. Again, he usually falls into these patterns where it's like, hey, if I'm blind picking, I'm taking Orianna, Victor, Rise into certain compositions. I'm just going to take out things like the Kled. And here we go. So the Gragas is going to go bot lane like we expected. And they are giving Flandre room to carry. Let's remember, this Jayce is undefeated for Flandre this year.
So we talked about 5-0 on the pick for the split, while Lulu is going to be picked up. Yeah. Now, this is a lot of protection around LWX. Lyric, walk me through it.
I mean, you just highlighted it right there. We are just stacking protection around LWX. We have 2 beefy frontliners with this kind of follow-up engage / peel that the Rakan can provide. And Lulu is actually a champion that Doinb has been playing a ton in solo queue recently.
Yeah.
They're going all aboard the Lwx train. He's going to do extremely fine in this laning phase against the Sylas. Lulu is actually like a surprisingly decent laner with the amount of damage you have coming out from your passive. On the side of EDG, it's a lot more dynamic. We see they have options to play out through side lanes, get pressure, group up, throw out the Jayce poke as well. They have flanking angles to come in with Sylas and Hecarim as well. So it's going to be interesting. I definitely favor EDG's composition with the amount of threats it has compared to FPX really all leaning on LWX.
And you said it in the draft, you give Flandre agency in this lane. We know that Jayce versus Nut is a favorable lane for the Jayce most of the time at the very least, but we know further than that, Lyric, that we do have EDG with some agency overall in this draft, while shielding compositions towards the Tristana. At the very least, the supportive mid lane pick that Doinb has been playing in solo queue. It's exciting. Another draft that we can twist and turn. We can talk about this going in, but at the very least, with one apiece, EDG and FPX have already delivered in their own individual games. We want to see where this goes next for the spot in the grand final for 2021 spring. Who is going to get the lead within the series? Who deserves it the most? Is it EDG or FPX? Let's get into game. Crowds, bro. Look at the crowds. The venue is packed. As we get closer and closer towards the grand final, everyone making an appearance, and good to have some normality. I'm sure for the players as well, that feeling of nerves once again hitting them as the stage is no longer empty. The crowd, the arena rather, no longer empty as well. Bit of a warding invade here for both these teams. Dropping wards defensive on the side of FPX to spot out EDG's movement.
And typically you'd see both jungles want to clear towards their top side because this actually is a very volatile matchup. If it is left in the isolated 1v1, we do expect Jayce to do well, but obviously you can play around the tools with your Mega Gnar, with your jungle, and you will be superior in those 2v2s. I want to go back to what I said in draft, that I like EDG's comp more coming into this. It feels like EDG have multiple angles that they can play out this game through, right? You look, they have Engage coming in with the Hecarim. The Gragas has the ability to go in. Scout has the opportunity to go in. He has TP, can find these flanking angles as well. Even if you're just posturing in mid-wave or posturing in front of an objective, you're going to have Jayce poke going out to where FPX's comp, like, they don't have any great engage, right? Like, Udyr is going to run at you. Gnar is going to have to blow a flash. Should have to blow a flash if he wants to find that massive Mega Gnar ultimate. Crisp can go in, but Rakan going in solo, you're very squishy. You can very easily get bursted out, even with the Lulu ult following up. I don't know if that's your priority target, so I feel like FPX's comp is more limited in how it needs to play out the game. You kind of want to be playing out EDG coming into you, but when they have a Jayce and they can also throw out some poke and chunk you down, I don't feel like they necessarily need to. They also win side lanes, so yeah, it's going to be an interesting one to see how FPX navigate this game.
When everything's so conditional. I love that you talk about the engage. A big part of here of FPX's comp that they may be lacking in. And I think more importantly as well, EDG drafting a composition that, I said it in pick and ban, feels like it has a lot more agency on. I want to talk a bit more about the mid lane matchup here, Lyric. I know you are a mid-tier god. That's not talking you up at all. You talked about Lulu having a bit of pressure and having a bit more damage. Doinb's gone for the ignite. He's pushing out this wave, and Scout's lacking in CS as this wave crashes in.
I mean, right, you're playing melee against range, and you even think about Sylas as a champion. You look for all-ins, but you all-in a Lulu, the polymorph comes out. She's just able to return even more damage onto you. You're a bit of an assassin / bruiser at level 6. Her ultimate's going to be able to keep her alive in all circumstances. She has a lot of hidden power in the early game coming out with her passive as well, so definitely a very strong lane for Lulu in this matchup. And I'm excited that Doinb was one to pull us out. And this is another reason why we highlighted, I don't think Sylas is a great champion for being blinded. It can be punished in laning phase.
Scout already has been. Look, the corrupting potions are gone. He has a biscuit, but wants to back Doinb's not going to let him. Glitter Lance very cheekily done as Meiko on rotation. He goes in for a deep ward. It's two members spotting him out. Body slam already got it. Meiko's like, boys, I'm going home, but definitely not the easy way. Who's the kill going to go to? Lwx is going to get it given. Ready to die.
The best part about this is earlier in the day when you messaged me and you said, "Hey, for our segment, can we try and like sell Viper as like a secret agent?" Because I think in that play, Meiko thought he was a secret agent, but definitely didn't work out for him. Ended up way too deep all by himself. All sides of FPX able to follow up. Doinb having pressure in mid. Their bot lane, very easy rotation over. And for the side of FPX, I like what they're doing this far. We see the TP already blown by Scout, has to use that one. Crisp comes mid to help force in the wave as well. Doinb gonna get a really nice reset. And for the side of EDG, no windows yet on the map to punish.
Especially when you look at Lwx picking up that first blood as well. Tristana, within the games we've seen, has been pretty explosive, whether win or loss, as Meiko and Viper return to lane. Lwx still pushing up. Body Slam's gonna connect, but he doesn't really care. Trades back, takes a bit of damage himself. While Chris was on the roam, he backed away. He's now coming back to lane himself, and Viper's going to punish that a little bit. Walks forward. Lwx at half health.
And it's just a flat out mistake, right? The wave is coming into him. He has no reason why he needs to walk up. Yeah. The enemy team knows that Chris back. They saw that in the mid lane as Tian run and stuns Jiejie.
Level 5, yeah, Jiejie's chasing him though. The horse wants in on this action, runs him down, the flash is there, he spins for it, even with Doinb over the wall, he's gone to his death as well. He'll take Jiejie with him, but Scout's laughing.
Massive mistakes coming out from FPX. Tian thinking he can get that one down, but he doesn't have the damage. Jiejie does chase him down. He does have the ghost. And, you know, we know how Hecarim does with movement speed and mobility creep hysterics. Yeah. Point is, Doinb isn't level 6, flashes over, tries to give him the shield, doesn't have the ultimate to follow up with that. They're able to take him down, and then with the numbers advantage, they very easily turn onto Doinb. Scout picks up that kill, and now Scout, being level 6 to Doinb's level 5, though Doinb should be able to pick that one up. But I feel like the most important thing from this, FPX lost both flashes, to where Scout's still able to have his, and Ghost on a much shorter cooldown than Flash.
Good point. I think it's also important to note that Doinb has Ignite, so he wasn't able to TP in. It's just stopping Crisp here from getting the ward. He'll be able to grand entry, over the wall. I did have a bit too much tea there, Lyric. I want to point out, by the way, now, it is red raspberry, which I don't know any other colors that raspberries are. Just moving forward, the important part here for me is the fact that Scout was able to get a lead in this lane where Doinb was shoving him out, where he was bullying him down. It now looks a lot more even than we expected, and Scout on the Sylas is getting a bit of a pass here, where he now has those lucidity boots, and with the wave crashing in, he'll have a CS lead too.
The most important thing is the fact that with the way EDG play out this draft, I agree that the most important leads, in my opinion, can come onto your soul laners, or at least on like the whole top half of your map. Because when you're playing against a one-threat composition, when you do have diving tools like Hecarim and Sylas, if they can get ahead, if they can find their way onto that priority target, you can pretty much just insta-give them, take them out of the fight, and then it's easy pickings. If Flandre was able to find a lead, if EDG ever decided to throw him a bone and help him out, again, you at least then have that long range you can play out when you have the posturing and the standoffs around the dragon as well. It's funny when you know Viper is the superstar of this team. I feel like his advantage might be the least important among his teammates.
I was going to say, this could be dangerous. Scout's going in onto Doinb. Wild Growth is there. He wants to draw it out. As the blue buff almost stole it away. Doinb gets it in the end, but he gets half health for it. Scout's able to push in the wave, and Jiejie still hovering. You can see how hungry EDG are to push it a little bit further.
I like what they're doing. They're going back to playing around mid, having Scout on Assassin. Is Flandre doing massive damage.
While we talk about the Jayces onto Doinb again, there's the Wild Growth. He's stolen away, but Jiejie comes in. The fear with the onslaught of shadows means Scouts get killed. Number 2, Tian watches like a bird as this mid lane is going horribly for FPX.
The thing is, this is still a byproduct of what happened earlier, right? Doinb doesn't have flash. He can't play far forward against Scout, who does have a champion who can all in. Jiejie also recognizes that, hovers around the mid lane, and Doinb really paying for Tian's sins in this one.
And now onto the Herald because of it, right? Scout pushing away Tian as the producer whispered in my ear that raspberries can also be blue. Thank you very much. I'm not 5-head today. But Flandre coming down with the priority up in the top lane, and Lyric, this is a great start for EDG to punish FPX as Tian walking around the Sylas, knowing that Doinb's coming in. Crisp is there as well. They want to push it further, but Meiko has had his last beer before he's going to get into a drunken fight. And so they disengage, but the Herald, crucially, goes over to EDG.
Also, you know, at least it's silver lining for the side of FPX. We do see that Lwx is able to push this one in. He is still a bit behind in CS, but the fact that they're 1 kill earlier on him is good, right? That's where your gold needs to be. That's where all of your kills need to go towards. But for the side of EDG, I think they're completely fine with this map state. We do see that Jiejie is pathing down, clearing his jungle towards that dragon. We see that Viper gets on the map first, so they should have push in bot lane. And I would like to see EDG look for this dragon, but maybe going to punish Nuguri's over push, but he has the hop. He's totally fine.
Walked out already. That's 2 good plates against a Jayce, Lwx. That's not bad response here. FPX are up in gold, and I believe Nuguri is part of the reason why after getting that down.
Just doing a great job of abusing the fact of, you know, Flandre roaming down, coming back up towards top side. Nuguri had all that time alone with the turret. Already has the plated steel cap, so is going to feel fine against this Jayce in this matchup right now.
Yep.
And now, again, all eyes are on Dragon. EDG have that bot side control that we talked about. Scout already pushing in, getting vision down. He's actually going to take the Scuttle Crab himself. Remember, EDG's bot lane got to the lane first, so they also have push in this one. And now I kind of expect us to be seeing a brawl maybe within the next 30 seconds.
Yeah, around that dragon you mentioned. I like that you bring that up. My interest here is whether Scout is able to back with an item or that first mythic and then get towards the dragon. He's pushed out mid. He's actually teleporting bot as Lwx and Chris went all in. That's a mistake as Viper gets straight to the backline and Chris is on his way out. He's a bit of a run this time as the dragon goes down as a response, and FPX are going to trade that for their AD carries live.
Yeah, Lwx going a bit too ham right there. It didn't even matter that Scout TP down, in my opinion, but still not respecting the fact that enemy mid laner does have TP advantage. We see that Jiejie was already there. I think they should have known that from where they last saw him topside, you know, about 45 to 60 seconds ago. Still, at least the silver lining, right? They are able to get the Drake for that, but all of these plates going down for Jiejie and Viper. And FPX respond.
Well, they're onto the top side, and they're saying, hey, let's kill Flandre, but Flandre gets out. He doesn't even burn the flash. Herald gets first heart blood on the bottom side, and EDG all of a sudden are up 1,500 gold in the 11-minute mark. And what we've seen from early games is that they carry true as Nuguri into the Mega Gnar soon. Flandre does damage, but FPX's top laner is going to be bigger.
And the thing is, Flandre still had the respect, right? Because we saw, sure, Scout was hovering and Meiko was on his way up, but Flandre doesn't know if the other members of FPX are still sticking around, so he had to end up losing another wave of CS. So FPX at least trying their hardest to enable Nuguri as much as possible on the top side, but it doesn't really matter. Flandre is still sitting even in CS.
Yeah.
Sure, you got more gold onto Nuguri and more experience because of plating gold and just, again, like he was actually around every wave falling, but I don't think Nuguri being ahead really will change the dynamic of how these two team comps play out.
So what do you want to see then? Because Lwx is pushing down the bottom turret, which feels like one of the most pivotal member, right? When we have the Lulu, when we have the Rakan, supporting members that can play front. Lwx, is his goal what determines the success of FPX in this game?
In my opinion, yes. Another way they can at least try to keep this game at a neutral pace, right? Because in my opinion, that's FPX's goal. You're up against EDG, who have a bunch of mid-game skirmishing champions. They're almost on their mythic items. We already see Turbo Chem Tank coming out for Jiejie. Keep funneling gold onto Lwx, let him push in the spot lane turret, try and give him as many jungle camps as possible, and then utilize the fact that Nuguri has been able to consistently push in into the Jayce through the amount of resources he has gotten, and try to turn that into the fact that you can get on an objective first, and then try to force EDG into you. Again, the problem is, I feel like even in that situation, it's not the best, because EDG can play off all the flanks that we talked about. They can have the Jayce, who's fine just posturing in front of you, and there's just a lot of opportunities that they have playing out with different win conditions and different goals to get onto your carries.
And we have to remember, before we even get to that stage, is that's a wild growth with the Abscond Abduct onto Doinb. Good Kingslayer here, trying to bait out Doinb's ultimate as there's Jiejie riding into the backline. The fear good, finally the ult baited. And Tian goes into an engagement with Scout, and Scout still wins. Sylas, big boy, and he demands respect.
Scout, Sylas went up so massive against top esports. Scout was really the one who put that series on his back at the end of the day and had the clutch moments. Despite the fact that Scout plays everything in my mind, we know he plays the Udyr, he plays the Orianna, he plays his control mage as well. We need to remember that Scout's best split last year was in spring, and that's when champions like Akali, Irelia, Sylas, LeBlanc were metas. Heck, Scout still plays LeBlanc in solo queue. I think these are where Scout looks best. He's really good at finding these opportunities. He's really solid at creating these windows and looking for these aggressive trades.
Right, not just lulling about in the mid lane, farm for farm, you know, as we've seen a little bit. Scout's great as here, but you know, we want to see him on these other picks that we're seeing now, and we've seen in the series. Game 1, Kiana was a great example of that. The champions that, you know, can find those advantages and be playmaking mid laners. Scout here on the Sylas can do that, as that was a close call. Viper almost stealing away from LWX, but the red is secured in the end. And Lyric, gold is dead even. I think it's important to note that top lane turret is about a breath of fresh air from falling over. Mid lane about half here for EDG. But in terms of objectives, their second Herald is up. Dragon's not up 50 seconds, but might revolve around a similar timer. And EDG have priority and vision control around the river for now.
Yeah, but FPX are looking for the engage. Tian finds it.
Nuguri's going in. This is going to be 5 versus 4 for now. Scout on the back end. Doesn't get the abscond abduct, but he's stolen the quickness. Flandre joins in and boom! Onto Crisp and Nuguri at half health. And EDG, they disengage from that one. They draw everyone close.
They try to find the pick and river. That's really their best case scenario. Maybe they could have tried to kite it out a bit more, but it goes back to the point we highlighted about the Jayce. We saw what his Q was able to do in that scenario, right? Imagine an extended posturing around an objective where Jayce is just able to throw out this free damage. FPX are at least going to respond. I really like this, getting control of bot side vision, forcing in mid-wave turret, and trying to be the team to get on Dragon first.
Jiejie, excuse me, has Ghost. I think something important to note. Ghost on sort of shadows there with Chilling Smite. Dragon being started, but EDG, they're on a direct warpath. He walks in front and Jiejie's like, no, this is my dragon. Thank you for the leash, though. As Flandre tries to poke them away. So it's one dragon apiece, and for EDG, that's double objective in the span of 1 minute.
And the thing is, they could just turn back to mid like they're doing now, and honestly, I feel like they could have even dropped the Rift Herald if they so do choose, because I think they could assume that some of FPX members are going back onto resets. It looks like that's what they were planning to do, but with the fact that LWX was already here, they decide not to at the end of the day. So FPX are going to be the team that has some members back on the map first, with Chris just coming off of a reset. But no real objectives up. FPX can try and get some vision down, as they're doing now on the top half of the map, so they can start forcing this top lane turret. But next big objective's 4 minutes with the Dragon, right?
And I wanted to, while we wait for those objectives to come up, talk about something you mentioned in draft, where EDG in their side lanes should have a bit of control here. You know, we look at Sylas, we look at the Jayce as well, where, you know, versus FPX, we know what their comp wants to do, but EDG, they have leads in these side lanes, and they're quite comfortable with the Hecarim, who has so much early mobility.
We do see a lead, especially for Scout, right? Flandre a bit even, actually, maybe even slightly behind if you do factor in all the plate gold that Nuguri was able to pick up. And it seems like Flandre is just being very respectful of wherever Tian could be when they aren't spotting him out, right? He's just catching waves close to his tier 2 turret. But still, I feel like anywhere Jiejie links up would be a solid 2v2 for the side of EDG. The big thing is, if they are playing around Nuguri, they need to make sure they're not looking around the Mega Gnar. You know, with the fact that Scout's the one with your big advantage, he's 2-0, you expect a lot of the pick potential and a lot of the hovers to be around him.
Set up the top wave, bottom wave was set up as well, and there's the Herald mid. EDG just moved together as a unit. Scout even roams down without the TP, just in case something blows over. But mid lane turret will be taken down. One outer left remaining. FPX looking to defend that one from Scout up in this lane, and more gold over to EDG. Small lead at that, but still something that is going to be, I guess, noticeable with all mythics on the board and second items now being picked up, especially for Viper Lyric. He's the one who picked up the gold, the solo turret gold rather. He now has a Phantom Dancer before LWX has his second item.
It's kind of funny how, again, we're talking about an EDG game where we're not talking about Viper at all, and it just kind of shows with how these compositions have panned out. Him and LWX are on very similar power spikes, both sitting at 2 items. Viper does have tier 2 boots over him, though, but that should be changing right now with the back coming out from him. Both teams just trading objectives off of their windows, right? We saw EDG made a play. It is their turn to reset. FPX used that window to force an objective on top side. We now see Flandre finally able to start trying to find some pressure in this bottom lane matchup, but When we have a draft like this on the side of FPX, it's all going to be about when we're standing in front of the neutral objectives. That's going to be the name of the game for the side of FPX.
That's right, and we'll get another one here in a minute 55. Chat, don't fall asleep. It's only 6 kills, and I know these games have been explosive so far, but you just know that, like the first dinner date, like, you know, you go to a Tinder date, you don't know what's going to happen. Let's be realistic. It's wide open. You got to talk about it. Put everything out on the table. This game 3 is very much like that. You don't know when it's going to end, and you don't know what could happen as EDG are moving into brush. There's Tian for the stun. It's Meiko first. He body slams away, but look, this is a choke point. As Viper has to flash over the wall, he uses every summoner, and Jiejie, the horse, now has to run out of the animal kingdom. FPX, they had Lwx in a comfortable position, and they stroke fast.
The thing is, they did get summoners off of Viper, which will be massive, but they lost a lot of tools.
They're back. Jiejie goes in. They've got him down. Goodbye to Udyr. 5 versus 4 now. But what's up? I'll tell you one thing. The Baron in 10 seconds.
I don't think they're in a position where they should be able to do this. It looks like they want to, though. They still have tools up, right? Scout has the wild growth available. That's actually honestly about it. So I don't think EDG will do it.
On the LPX. They found a pick. They found a pick. Scout starts it up with the absconded duck. Nuguri at half health. He's going forward into Mega Nut, but Flandre in a weird position with another engage from Scout. Against the wall, it won't matter because Kingslayer exists. Nuguri flashes out and Lyric. It happens so fast as Flandre tries to re-engage. He's hit up again and again and again. Chris getting clutch here with the wild growth as Nuguri jumps on back in, but Viper's ready to re-engage. Jiejie runs forward, which almost turbo ints. And this again is a bit too back and forth.
And I'm questioning why FPX felt the need to disjointedly walk towards the Baron. Again, I think when you look at EDG's comp right now and with how long death timers were, it would have been really risky for EDG to look for that play. We see Lwx walk in by himself towards the Raptor wall, gets caught out beautifully, like you said. EDG try to push it a bit too far. Flandre goes a bit too far forward, ends up getting caught off guard as well. And FPX are coming off recalls. They are going to be able to get on this dragon first, so at least going to get themselves a bit of wiggle room. They are going to be sitting on 2 dragons right now.
And this is important, Lyric. I mean, just from the stats alone, when we have this, you know, Lulu, again, the shielding that we've already talked about, but especially people like Tian and Nuguri going to benefit off this greatly. As we'll have a look at it again, because it was onto Lwx. Doesn't hit the Everfrost, but man, the follow-up was instant.
And think about it. Think about what Lwx did there. He sees Sylas doing that. He knows exactly where he is. Still walks forward, maybe overestimates how quickly his team can follow up is what I'd expect. They were just right around the corner, but still, they have the damage. They have the lockdown with Scout to bring him in. And then after this, they walk too far forward. They think they can punish a bit more, but their damage isn't there. What is going on?
Another follow-up again. We just come out of a replay to Jiejie running down his opponent. Good explosive cast. Tian flashes over the wall, though. They try to deny it as long as they could, but hey, another pick. It's onto the Lulu. Another 5 versus 4 in front of the Baron.
This should be a Baron bait coming out from EDG. You just got 1 pick onto the Lulu, and now Tian has no flash. EDG are going for it.
It's going down quick, but look at where Scout is. He has the TP, might have to burn it to get into this fight as FPX are cornering them down. 4 versus 4 for now. Scout on the flank. Everfrost comes on in onto Chris. He survives for now, steals away the quickness, and that zone control was better than a Zookeeper at a zoo.
I feel like FPX were just as scared as we were when we saw Scout fly out onto the screen, throws out the Everfrost as well. FPX instantly know they need to disengage again. They lost Doinb. We saw no flash on Udyr, as we will see here. They just run in. I love Viper goes over the wall with the plant. They just catch out Doinb in the top side right here. Body slam into the cast, comes out. Tian forced to flash. So now once EDG get into the pit, Tian really has no way of stealing. He can only run forward, but you're running forward at a Gragas, at a Hecarim, at a Sylas that is coming from behind. So he would surely go down, and I like that FPX in the end decided they needed to respect that one because the game could have been lost there.
It could have, right? It could have been so much worse. Baron will still go over, but minimal losses at that. No Dragon here. EDG just pivoting around River, while FPX, they've grouped up as a 5-man unit, and look at where Flandre is. Nowhere near the fight. FPX want the mid lane priority. They're going to stay here for now, but Scout going in. Everfrost close to Tian, who keeps on running. but stunning is not done. Jiejie zoning as well, as that shock blast was huge. Jiejie running back in, explosive cast, misses everyone, but Jiejie doesn't care, puts them against the wall. Tian not taking too much damage, but here's the engage!
Ooh.
Oh, Nuguri smacks him back with the wallets, as Jiejie doing the same. Back on in, it's over in an instant! Lyric, what happened?
Scout took Nuguri's ultimate. He found the massive ult in there, stunning multiple members of FPX. EDG have Baron. They're just going to be able to run this one down the mid lane, but they don't have a wave.
They don't really have a front line right. Here's Jiejie in the back, but Hecarim's waiting for the rest of the wave to come through. Death timers are not long enough. Chris will come back up. Nuguri in 20 seconds after that. Tian in a little bit less with Doinb. It's inhibitor guaranteed. It's a 6k gold lead, and EDG were losing that fight until Scout came up and became the better Gnar.
Again, I can't wait till we get that replay, because I think Scout is the one who ulted first, locked multiple members down. Nuguri then jumps in and ults after that. And I mean, there was just, you know, a big ball of chaos in all of it, right? Because we're seeing CC coming out on both sides, members running back and forth. There's a ton of mobility on both sides, right? Kaisa, Sylas, Gragas, Rakan, Tristana. And we're gonna see here, from Scout's point of view, again, he's going to take the Gnar ultimate here. They run in. We see Tian engage. EDG kind of backing off. And then there it is. Yep, he's the one who ults first. We see on the backside, Viper's left untouched the whole time. So even when Nuguri found that ultimate, he was just dishing out damage that whole time. And again, that one was a bit confusing. Thank you, observers, for the replay. But Scout, oh God.
Okay,
oh God, hysterics.
Yeah, that happened. I mean, Chris goes down, and that kind of shows the, I guess, the ever-growing pain that FPX are going to have for the rest of this game. We know that EDG have the lead. They're steps away from match point, and Lyric on that last play, I have to say, group effort. Flandre, melee shock blast to the face hurt a lot. And we just see the ever-growing damage that's coming out of this composition. Viper with 3.5 items. 3 items with the Jayce there for Scout. Almost 3 items for Viper. And there you go. Doinb hits into it. And inhibitor turret's under fire now with a broken inhibitor mid.
I like that you highlighted the shock flash from Flandre, because Flandre doesn't feel all that much love coming out from EDG, right? Doesn't get that much attention, just kind of silently does his job extremely well. And I'd say consistently shows up for EDG. Oh,
this could be
hysterics, it doesn't stop.
It really doesn't, but look at the damage that's come down for FPX. Viper stays alive, gets to the backline while the TP play from Scout delays time with the Zonya's Hourglass. Tien's dead. Chris goes in for the re-engage, hoping something will work, but the 80 carry's gone down. That's the damage for the composition, while Doinb's against the wall, and EDG are feeling it, man. One more step is all it's going to take as they head towards the Nexus. Lyric, this could be the year of EDG, 1,083 days later, on match point in the semi-final versus FunPlus Phoenix.
And Jiejie, I think, had a phenomenal game on this Hecarim. I mean, FPX went for the gambit, right? They left it open. They gave it over to his side. We see Scout going back to the Sylas. Man, this guy, again, on Assassins, on flanking champions, on champions that get side lane control, is just so clutch. And then Viper doing his job well. I mean, it's kind of funny how Viper was a bit of an afterthought in the early game just because nothing was really happening. FPX were fine, just straight up chilling, farming up, but still doing a lot in these team fights. And I will be honest, going back to what I said after draft, I was not a big fan of FPX's team comp. I'm not really too big on these one threat compositions. Yeah. I feel like they're very hard to play out, especially when you're up against a comp like EDG drafted, where, again, we saw what happens when there's no engage. You're taking Jayce poke to the face, you're getting half HP. You're seeing what happens when you're looking for engages where, you know, EDG are extremely mobile, they bait it out, and guess what? They then have the tools to re-engage. You're constantly dealing with potential side lane pressure coming out from the Sylas. Like, there's all these things you need to keep track of, and you really don't have the tools to deal with almost any of them.
Yeah, and when Lwx wasn't in a magnificent position, right? He got some turret plating, but Viper was still in a similar, if not better, position when he got the turret platings himself. He got the first turret blood, or at least contributed.
He was ahead in CS.
He was ahead in CS, that's right, Lyric. So there's a lot of things you can say that EDG outclassed anyway, and FPX fell behind. We got towards that Baron, we got towards those fights, and Scout Sylas again had the impact we saw against Top Esports. In the 3-0 EDG played against Top Esports, Scout Sylas was just as good too.
Man, you don't need to win worlds. Just give this man a Sylas skin. He's now had 2 series in a row where he's absolutely incredible. Again, I really like the way that Jiejie pathed around him and played around him. Both jungles are very conscious when they have their mid laners on playmakers of how to play out these games, right? We've seen it both times where this time around, though, I do want to say on the opposite side, actually, that it is kind of coming off Tian's mistakes, right? And even Doinb was the one to pay for them because he walks into the Hecarim, gets chased down, Doinb flashes over, tries to save him, they both go down. He now has no flash, Scout still has flash. You're playing a control mage against an all-in champion. You're sitting under turret. You're having to respect. You're losing out in CS. You're getting all in. It just felt very unfortunate for the side of FPX.
Rough and starting through that mid lane. I mean, Doinb lost so much and damage from Flandre. But look, it's back and forth. But boy, at the end of the day, that was a nice ramp up 20 minutes onwards.
Hey, 6-0 on the Jayce this split. Like we said, he's the silent overachiever. He really didn't give him that many resources. We saw the amount of times that FPX were hovering up towards the top side where he was actually zoned off his turn. He's like, guys, give me something, please. Like, someone come up here. Someone zone for me. I can win my matchup. I can have kill pressure. They never did that. They never felt the need to do it. We saw how many times he was able to hit those accelerated shock blasts, and it really showed. There was that one in mid lane that really stuck out to me where, again, I think it was Doinb and Lwx or Doinb Crisp. They walk up, suddenly they're down to like 60% HP. Just really solid effort coming out from EDG, and I think that just is how both of these teams play, right? When they're both ahead, they do a very good job at transferring pressure across the map and utilizing their advantage well, to where it typically looks like the whole team is doing well. And I think that also shows that they're both top teams because when they get ahead, when they find advantages, they run it home. It's not just like a clown fiesta both ways. These two teams are very close, and when they get ahead and they have a good composition, they are able to close it out.
I think it's important to note as well on that little stat, on that rather observation, is that in this series so far, all 3 games, the early game team, or rather the early game lead, has actually closed it out. We saw in game 1, it was EDG who brought tempo. Game 2, FPX fought right back. This game, EDG punished the Lulu, punished through Scout, and of course, Jiejie in the jungle again. There's a lot of elements that come into play in this series, and I think that's why, you know what, Hart? I feel like FPX, EDG would be my guess as to what the finals will be. Of course, we're in a double elimination bracket. There's a lot to talk about here. We're going to go to a break. Maybe chat can continue Lyric while we're gone. And then go into match point because EDG, all they need is one more to break their curse in the last couple of years. 1,083 days since they were last in a grand final. Dude, can FPX do it? Can we get the silver scrapes? We'll find out after the break.